You seem bothered by something.
How did we get here?
A CDMP TV and film presentation from Crazy D, the mind who brings you the Black Ice Chronicles, the Females DVD, and Situations DVD, brings you The Shifter. It's Halloween night at
You seem bothered by something.
How did we get here?
a CDMP TV and film presentation from Crazy D, the mind who brings you the Black Ice Chronicles, the Females DVD, and Situations DVD, brings you The Shifter. It's Halloween night at Crazy D's. And a pesky vamp is out for blood. Beware of the Shifter.
That's it. You gotta go beat it damn scram, man. Damn.
Why don't you be a doll and find me a place to change? I need a place to change my clothes before I go.
What? Don't try to hold me on the phone.
D, you been holding out on me?
I was just about to stop and help. You know I help the crackheads, D.
Some people just don't have originality with their outfits.
It's like I hear voices in my head talking to me and shit.
I saw that punk ass Charles Pippin and his cousin leaving here.
I learned the grace pose. Get your camera ready.
We're here, like we said, for trick or treat. Crazy, what did you see? You seem bothered by something.
You see that shit?
Hey, that crazy fuck in there. I don't know what the fuck that was for.
Right. Can't stand that shit.
Who's the pet bitch?
Like, I don't
What the fuck was she need all hoes? I saw her to scratch that, poke that bitch eye.
Beware of the Shifter. Be at the premiere if you dare.
What's going on, people? This is another great episode of
The film
hashtag Tfrpodcastlive, the film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society, podcast. And do we have a great jam-packed show for you? It is the last show where we're going to be featuring films that are great for American blacks in the black diaspora to watch during Halloween. Because when we come on next week, it's going to be November 1st.
Wow.
Can you believe it? Just a couple of days before. Just a couple of days before the election. Can you believe that?
No.
This is episode 136 of Hashtag TFR Podcast Live. We want to say what's up to everyone that is checking in and with us tonight on Periscope, Vimeo, FB, and the Film Review Life channel. That's right, the Film Review Life channel on YouTube. Make sure you go there, subscribe, press subscribe, smash subscribe, smash like, smash share on all the various platforms. Make sure that you follow, you friend, you subscribe, because we here at hashtag TFR Podcast Live bring you the reviews that save you pocket revenue. You know what I mean? Because we're watching all these films and we're saying, hey, these are the films that you will be glad that you spent money on, right?
Yep.
So the phone line for night, 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. So as usual, before we get started with some fun facts about Halloween, we start with the Film Review Podcast blurbs of the week. How was your week? The American Black Politics. So how was your week? So this week.
Again, the week just flew by. October is going by so fast. But the weather has been nice. So the weather was nice this week. So it was a pretty good week.
Yeah, nothing too much to complain about, right?
Right.
So people, as we get started on this episode, like I said, we'd like to thank everyone who has chimed in with us tonight. Make sure you smash the like button, the share button, because we have some fun facts about Halloween. So we're going to start with that first, right? So here's some fun facts about the Halloween season.
Okay.
October 31st in particular. Willow Smith was born in 2000 on the 31st of October. Willow Smith, you know, Jada and Will's Willow Smith was born in 2000 on October 31st. In 435 AD, Romulus Augustulus was named the Western Roman Empire's emperor, right? 475 AD. In 1941, after 14 years of work, Mount Rushmore was completed in 1941 on October 31st. On Halloween, right? 2011, the global population reached 7 billion. The global population reached 7 billion. The United Nations recognizes the day of 7 billion is October 31st, 2011, right? 2015, the Metro jet flight. Now, this is some not so fun facts. Right? 2015, the Metro jet flight 9268 was bombed over the northern Sinai Peninsula, killing all 224 people aboard. That was back in 2015. Do you remember 2017? A truck drives into a crowd in Lower Manhattan, New York City, killing 8 people. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember
that. Was a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
Have you noticed what we haven't...
Yeah, we haven't had any terrorist attacks.
We haven't had any non-domestic...
Yeah, because we've had domestic
terrorist attacks,
yeah, but
right?
non-domestic in a number of years.
Since Trump said, you know, he was saying that we have to just figure it out.
Right.
We haven't had one, right? So let's see. Deaths. There's been a lot of deaths on October 31st, but one that's real notable that people would know. Rosalind Cash died in 1995, October 31st.
And that's Johnny Cash's wife.
That's right. So that's what makes it notable. You know, I told the line. But anyway, Halloween 2020.
Okay.
This year falls on a Saturday. It was going to be off the chain in 2020, but not so much. The last time it fell on Saturday was 2015.
Right.
Right? So it's not because of COVID, it's going to be tapped down, right?
Right.
So before 2015, the time before that was 2009.
Okay.
Before that was 1998.
Okay.
Before that, 1992.
Okay.
87 and 81 was the last time that it fell on Saturday. And do you know when it's going to fall on Saturday again? Another fun fact. Smash the share button. Smash the like button as we talk about Halloween.
Right. When? 25?
It won't drop on Saturday again until 2032.
32. Wow.
12 years from now. I'll be 61.
Gosh.
Right?
I'll be 30.
That's right. Where you been, crazy boy? I have been. Where you been, charming crazy? I have been a single wife in the middle of the night. She's a young thing and cannot leave her mother. Anyway, okay, people. Daily Mail, right? All right. So we talked about that, right?
Right.
So let's get to the first. Well, let's get to some memes because we have to do the memes, right? Memes of utmost importance.
It is hot under the lights.
Yeah, it's hot under the lights. Yes, it is. It's funny. So this meme was interesting.
Okay.
And I thought, I would put this up. This came from a certain site.
Okay.
And it shows the power or the strength of women, right?
Okay.
When they had. So I thought that was a powerful meme. Okay. And I said, let me just show this one to the people and let them take a gander at this, right? So here's another meme. As we go through. Okay, come on. Move for me. There we go. Alright. Now this is an interesting meme right here. Mm-hmm. The financial system lacks fairness, which is why we created Greenwood. Okay. Greenwood Financial Bank. Mm-hmm. Question is, do you trust putting your money into that bank? Yes or no? What do you think?
Okay, this is my first time hearing about it.
Uh-huh.
Well, I heard a little bit about it, but kind of in passing.
Well, before he was talking about just going to the established black-owned banks.
Okay, so who is this?
Now, this is Killer Mike.
Okay, so he started a bank.
He started a bank with financial people, I guess.
Okay.
Would you invest your money into that bank? Mm-hmm. Yes or no? Why or why not?
Yes, I would invest my money because all banks are, what is it, U.S.
FDIC.
Yeah.
Secured up to 100.
Yeah, because it's a secured bank. They wouldn't have given them permission to start one unless it was secured.
What if it's more like a credit union?
But still, credit unions have to abide by rules also, right?
Right.
Because I've also dealt with the credit union.
Right.
So, but yeah, I would invest a portion of my money.
You would invest?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The reason I'm not hesitant, and we probably will open up an account at Greenwood, but my thing is dealing with knowing what has happened in the past and how the government
might do something dirty,
can pass legislation that makes it harder for a independent, black bank, I would say that, I would just look at it because there has been in the past that we had a big black-owned bank in Cleveland, Ohio that shut down and people lost their savings in the bank. Yeah, I think I don't want to say any names. I'm going to double check it, but we'll talk about it. But this has happened before, and we have to be sure. We have to be sure when we're putting our money in places that they are government proof. I'll say that because it's not on their end, but it's on the government's end when they want to use your money and want to keep you necessarily in a bondage type state, right? So I'll say that, right? But I don't have anything against investing in Greenwood, so we just wanted to let you know about that. But you know, pros and cons. Okay, here's a good one that I thought was pretty interesting when I saw it.
See if you
move it over and let me read it. If you or a loved one watched the 2020 presidential debate, you may be entitled to compensation. Call now, 983-927-THAT. Again, that number is, what the F was that? I thought that was a pretty good meme, and I put that up to check that out right there. Yeah. Okay, so here's another meme. Smash the like button, smash the share button as we get ready to start reviewing some great Halloween films, including Bad Hair. All right? Here's another meme. New Orleans dudes don't say thank you. They say, appreciate it, baby. Did you get it?
New Orleans dudes don't say thank you. They say, appreciate it, baby.
Appreciate it, baby.
Right. That's what
appreciate, baby. Right?
Which means
but appreciate it, baby.
Right.
You know, the person who wrote it said I had to read it a second time before I got it. Now, here's an interesting name. It's about 40 or 45th president, right? And it reads this. Analysts, Trump's least racist claim falls flat for many, yet his campaign still holds appeal for some black men. Again, Trump's least racist comment falls flat for many, yet his campaign still holds appeal for some black men. I'm trying to figure out what this is, what this gender splitting is about. I don't know. I really don't know what that's about. It's strange. It's weird.
Well, a page out of Willie Lynch.
A page out of Willie Lynch.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. A page out of Willie Lynch, right?
Right.
Now, here's one that was a meme that I said, Somebody asked, who did this? Little dummy. Right? Using Little Debbie's. Now, don't be cursing Little Debbie now. You know, Little Debbie snacks used to taste good. I don't know what they taste like now. But they used to taste good before they were taken over. Now, this meme right here is a pretty funny meme. They must serve some good biscuits and gravy at the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Why? Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can see the picture.
Oh, let me bring it up bigger for you. See that?
They must serve good biscuits.
Look at that.
Oh.
Oh yeah. We won't have any shortage in finding the Santa Claus for the Christmas party. Just pick one. Okay, people. Hi. So here's a question for you.
Okay.
Tracy.
Okay.
All of them are having a concert in your city tonight.
Right.
Who you gonna see?
So who's at the top? Is that Janet,
That's
Mary,
Janet.
Mariah? Who's the other one?
That is Beyonce.
Okay, well you already know. Tell me, who do you think I'm going to go see?
Janet. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. No, you're going to see Beyonce. That's right. You're going to see Beyonce, right? That's right. Who would you go see? Our chat is open on FB as well as on the Film Review Live channel. You can just type in who you would see, and we'll mention who you said.
Because then one night it's possible to go to do concerts, so I would hit up Beyonce's concert, and afterward I would hit up Janet's concert.
Is it possible they started at the same time? Now this right here is one of the more creepier images that I saw, and I said, who is doing this, and who would do that? Who would do that to their lips?
Lips look raw.
Who would do that to their lips, like
raw meat?
I mean, it's always it always seems like it's the Caucasians pumping the lips up, and then the sisters, they have the naturally full lips, and they're not getting that, getting accolades.
No, that's a Halloween meme.
That is a Halloween thing. That's a Halloween thing, right?
It's a meme.
It's a meme. It's a thing. Okay, people. Here's another meme before we break it to the show.
Okay.
All right. Here it is. Let me move it over just a little so that you can see it better, and make it a little larger so that you can see it. So this person is a Biden supporter, right? You can tell by what they wrote, which means that to me they're under meritorious manumission. Okay, so the person, now we've been talking now on hashtag observations TFR that comes on Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
Right.
Hosted by myself and my special guest host, my sister Tanya M. Congress. We've been breaking down Biden's plan and talking about what Biden did before and what he did. So this person, I guess, decided to put together a meme talking about what Biden did that was positive.
Okay.
1975, Biden took on redlining. 1982, Biden secured the extension of the Voting Rights Act. That was going to be a mandatory thing. 1988, Biden co-sponsored the Fair Housing Act, which, if the Democrats was right, they would never have to keep on doing Fair Housing Act, because in 65, when it was done, it should have been done. But that Fair Housing Act opened up to immigrants. But anyway, another story for another time. 2009 to 2016, Biden served alongside our first black president. Whoop-de-woo. The president picked him. He didn't pick him. Would he have picked? Anyway. 2018, Biden received the Civil Rights Museum's Freedom Award. All right?
Okay.
He received that, but yet he did, he talked about the urban jungles and want his kids going to school with black kids. That was in the 70s. In the 80s, he did the 100-to-1 crack cocaine to powder cocaine, which decimated the black community.
Right.
And then 10 years later, he came with, what did he come with, people? Of course, 3 strikes. Where you already had 2 strikes, you get the 3 strikes, you go away for life. So yeah, I guess he did some good things. I guess that's how they justify voting for Biden. All right, people. Which gets us to our first review of the night. And as we always tell you, that we have no dog in the hunt, because we're not voting for racist 1, racist 2, because we're not. Because until reparations is put on the go watch episodes 1 through 43 of Observations TFR, okay?
Yeah, but you know, when you just showed the Biden, the list that someone put up, I mean, it's just like, no need to even comment on that, because I find that, you know, you just different people think differently. Some people are comfortable with having nothing done that benefits them or their people. Some people are just compliant or complicit. Some people are complicit with little crumbs, right? Because while Biden was in office with Obama, I'm trying to remember. Let's see. I know who Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, and there were so many others. Was it Freddie Gray? Yeah. Like all of those different murders, whether it was by police or whether it was Zimmerman, a pretend policeman. While Biden was in office with Obama, there wasn't any laws passed, such as the Justice Act law, or something similar to the George Floyd Justice Act bill. Right. So while they were in office all that time, and black men and women were being murdered on the streets, innocent black men, women, and men, President Obama and Biden did nothing about it. Nothing. So that what you just showed me, that means nothing to me.
That means nothing.
Because like you said, the Fair Housing Act, that was implemented for around during that period. Different other groups, ethnic groups, were coming into the country
called minorities.
Right. So that was to benefit them. That had nothing to do with the black community.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to be clear, we have to clarify when people put up nonsense. We have to clarify that nonsense. Okay,
I mean, because just lastly, I just want to say, it's easy to make simple people feel good about little stupid crap stuff that's thrown against the wall, hoping it'll stick, right? But people who are critical thinkers, we just don't fall into any little thing that's thrown to us. We're like, our mind is constantly thinking. We're using critical thinking skills, so we know the history and we know what was done. You can't just pacify us by just throwing something in front of us. So, you know, that's for the simple. That was for the simple.
That's for the simple. So, the first review of the night, people. The first review of the night is Bad Hair, right? Let's see. Bad Hair on Hulu 2020. We have been waiting on this film since it was announced.
Was it worth the wait?
Early, we're gonna talk about it. Since way earlier this year, they talked about it coming. Bad Hair. So it debuted on October 23rd. If you haven't seen Bad Hair, I suggest that you see this movie.
Because it was, for me, it was definitely worth the wait.
It was definitely worth the wait. So let's go through it. Ellie Lorraine is Anna Bludso. Jay Farrow is Julius. Lena Waithe is Brooklyn. That sounds crazy. You sound like that. Vanessa Williams is Zora, and Zora has a initial story beat at the beginning of the film. There's something very traumatic that happens to the main protagonist in this film, and Zora's product, I'll say, has something to do with it. So you have to look out for that, because you might miss it, because we watched it twice. You know what I mean? Because it was so much to capture and so much lore to get that we watched it twice, right? Kelly Rowland is Sandra, right? And it is directed and written by Justin Simeon, right?
let's say, I just want to say with Justin Simeon, he spoke about this project like maybe a year and a half ago. We heard him during an interview because we reviewed his other show, Dear White People.
That's right.
So he's the creator of that. So while he was being interviewed for Dear White People, he talked about this bad hair project that he was working on. So we have been like anxiously waiting on it. So
yeah, we were waiting on it, right?
Yeah.
We knew that it would be a good product, right?
Yeah.
But so let's go through the synopsis.
Okay.
Taking place in the late 80s, New Jack, Jam and Lewis, Janet, Bobby Brown era, full of slave lore tales, one in particular. A woman dreams of advancing her career as a VJ producer and is willing to go through the pain to get quote-unquote good hair from quote-unquote bad hair. Is it worth the cost? Right? Let me tell you something. This film is full of,
forget about where it's from. Let's go to somewhere it's
you know, as the director said, as we get into it, as we talk, as we're gonna go and press the interview piece that he was in.
Where the stuff is magic.
There is a subgenre in Japanese film about hair horror, I'll call it, right? Like The Grudge.
Yeah, that was horrible.
You know. And so this film, you are totally gripped by this film, I'm gonna say. You are gripped by this film from beginning to end. The way that they depict the weave from the very beginning. This is the 80s. This is like when it first began, right? And so the way it's depicted and the way it's described and the way that it is done is based on true fact. I know that Justin Simeon researched this, right? Because back in February 6th of 2013 in the Daily Mail, there was an article called From Blinding Headaches to Bleeding Scalps and Permanent Baldness, the Hidden Dangers of Hair Extensions Revealed, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he really covered ground with this piece, right? And we have an interview piece that we're getting ready to play right now. So get ready for this because he really goes into what he was thinking and it has some of the cast. So we want to go through and play this because you should be watching this film for Halloween and beyond because it is just that good.
Well written.
Wait until we break down, you know, various categories we break down from cinematography to believability and all that.
Right.
Stay tuned for that. But this is an interview that they did. And of course, we're going to stop and give commentary in between, you know, give context. You know how we do. So check this out right here.
You decided to use the horror satire genre to talk about society's relationship with black women and their hair, black women and their own relationship with their hair. And why was this the way you wanted to tell this story?
You know, it started off having a conversation about Japanese and Korean horror films in particular, where there is a bit of a subgenre for hair horror. And I had seen a movie called The Wig and a movie called Extensions and was like, this feels so... Those movies themselves are not very American, but I felt like there's an American story in this. And I just sort of... I grew up with those 70s, 80s sort of gritty, kind of Brian De Palma, sort of psychological thriller, kind of satirical mashups. And and I just felt like, wow, I would love to see something like this, but with our people in it, and about an issue that I felt was important. And, you know, all of the women in the film are named after my mom and her sisters. I feel like I owe a debt of gratitude to Black women, and I just felt like I felt like that was the system that sort of marginalizes and oppresses Black women, and sort of, I didn't really want to moralize getting a weave or not. I wanted to sort of make us something about like the system that sort of gives people just one or two choices in order to move ahead. I wanted to take that system to task, and I thought it'd be a really fun way to do that.
Well, how did you guys relate to this as women?
I personally have never had a sew-in weave, but I did perm my hair for most of my life until I was about 16, and then realized this doesn't look good on me, and I don't like the feeling of it. And I just woke up one day and was like, my hair feels dead, I'm done with this. And I started locking it, and that was its own journey of hair, especially being an actor with locks. No one knew what I was doing or why or how to do it or work with it. And I almost lost a job because the hairstylist told the director, like, I can't do anything with that. And it took me, before I locked my hair, it took me a year to decide to do it. Because I was weighing, I'm an actor, is this something I want to do? I'm gonna limit myself for roles, do I care? Like it was a lot of soul searching before I decided that this is something I wanted to do in my heart outside of my business. But how many women outside of the Black community have to go through that? Take a year to decide about a hairstyle. So this for me was like a validating, like, I see you moment. Yeah.
What do you think about that? You know, taking a whole year to decide if you want to go natural or twist or lock. Yeah. Like, what do you think about that? Is that something that would be really a concern when, because you know, Whoopi Goldberg, Whoopi Goldberg always had locks.
Well, see, it depends on a person, and we've always seen Whoopi with locks, but we don't know her journey. We don't know if it took her a year to decide if she wanted to decide to lock her hair, right? Whoopi Goldberg.
No, but remember, she made it from off of doing her one woman show, right? And remember Ghost, right? They put a wig over the locks.
They did. They put a wig over the locks, but we don't know what Whoopi's prior to her doing her one woman show, before us as the audience, before Whoopi was introduced to us, we don't know what her hair journey was, right? Mm-hmm. So, but as an actress, you know, I can see where she was going with trying to figure out what to do with her hair, because like, I know, like, on my journey, when I went from, like, I didn't have a choice. Most of us back then, like, we had like grandmothers who would press our hair out, right? And then once you became of age, then, you know, your mother would put the kitty kit in, right? So
how old was that?
I guess kitty kit was maybe, 12, 13, maybe? 10,
and why were people getting kitty kits?
I believe it was being done because, like everything else, a fad, right? It was a fad. It was on the market. You know, they saw the ads in Jet Magazine, Ebony Magazine. They saw the commercials during Soul Train, right? So it was a fad, like everything else. Like right now, you see people putting the pink or blue or purple, like clip-ins in their hair. Like if they don't want to dye their real hair, they'll put the clip-ins. So all it was a hairstyle fad, right? Just like people went through the Jerry curl and was a wave nouveau fad. It's just different hairstyles, right?
Okay, so was that a low self-esteem thing? I'm just asking, was that a low self-esteem thing to women because they didn't, American Black women, because they didn't like their hair?
No, I think it was more of a fad, just like today. Like you see women who, I remember that fad where some women had the gray in their hair, right? Young people, they dyed their hair, they had gray in it. And so, I mean, it was just a fad because luckily, when you go natural, like such as like what I decided to do, you like in my mid 20s. So I wanted the ability to be able to play with my hair. So what I did was, when I wanted to wear, well, first of all, I let the perm grow out. Some people cut it off and just go completely short hair, or some people go bald, but I just let mine gradually like grow out. So I just did like braids or French rolls, ponytails, and every time I went to the beautician, she would cut it out little by little. So meanwhile, while she's cutting out little by little, my natural hair is growing in. So I never went straight into the short hairstyle, right, with natural hair. I went into the natural hair phase with, I guess, with shoulder length hair. So I didn't want to do the chop, so I let it slowly grow out. But what I love about natural hair is when you want it to be full and curly, it is in a full curly natural state. If you want to press it out, like I go to my beautician and she'll just take the flat iron and she'll press it out if I want that look, right? I feel you have more versatility with your hair when it's natural. Because first of all, you're not putting any chemicals in it, so that's a plus, right? And you have, like you said, versatility. You can press it out if you want it to be straight. If you want it to be thick in its natural state, you can leave it in its natural state. You can braid it. You can, do twists. You can do so much more with it when it's in its natural state. That's how the process some people take. And some people like process hair. Some people like for their hair to be straight all the time. Some people don't want their hair like in curls or curly. Some people want it just flat straight, which is fine for them. So as women, we have the diversity. We have, because being a little girl, I remember my mother would always say, we have the ability to play with our hair and do so many things with our hair, being women or, being girls. And like with the makeup, you can play with the makeup. She always said that we can wear any shade of makeup, right? And so, it's just about style. It's just like fashion. So I don't think when people put weaves in their hair, they hate themselves or they're trying to be somebody else. That's not the case. It's just like clothing, changing clothes, changing hairstyles. Like every season, there's a new style, whether it's a color for that season, an outfit for that season, a particular shoe, a certain shade of makeup for that season. It's just fashion style, changing up your look. That's all. It has nothing to do with self-hate. It's just having fun. Just like you do
I
with your dolls.
definitely relate to like every piece of this film. Like I was talking about at the premiere last night, whether it's washing my hair in the bathtub, getting a relaxer at a very young age, having a sew-in. I have a sew-in now. And it's interesting, it juxtaposes to the film because I have a sew-in as a form of protection for my natural hair in an industry where I'm constantly getting my hair done and no one knows how to protect my own hair. So it's a form of protection for me. I am grateful for my sew-in because that's how I can maintain the integrity of my natural hair. And I think that's something that a lot of people might not know about Black women and what we're dealing with in the industry. But I've been through I've also walked into rooms where I felt like maybe people didn't see me, maybe saw me less because of my natural hair, or didn't, I wasn't as validated because of having this big natural hair that nobody really understood except for people that looked like me. Every part of bad hair has been cathartic for me. And I think it's been cathartic for all of us in some way.
And you know it's changing when you start seeing it on the runways. You start seeing it on the runways. You start seeing natural hair. And then you start seeing some people kind of mess it up, in their own kind of way. I'm sorry, I just went totally left. Because I just remembered something that I just saw. And
the wigs?
Yes.
The wigs.
Yeah. So, that's an example of, misrepresentation. But getting back to bad hair, yes, absolutely. I think that there have been many times. But, can we just go back to that time period of 89? Where the hair was it was like it to have that weave, that specific weave. And Justin was very specific about that Janet Jackson weave. And you're just wondering how this woman is tossing her head left and right ever so quickly, and it's not flying across the room. It's because she's got that thing on. And it's beautiful, and it looks effortless, and that's what we wanted. You know, it made it look easy. You know what I mean? And I think that for so long we were told as Black women, well, I don't know what to do with that, and this is hard, or you know what I mean? It's always a scrunched face or a complaint when it comes to taking care of our natural hair, and this was a new, easy. It was my dream come true. It was my dream come true. I mean, I remember like the first time meeting Janet and stuttering. So to get this opportunity, I was like, okay, so I go home and look at tapes, and me and Justin were like having different notes while I was recording. And
she plays a Janet-esque character.
Yes.
Kelly Rowland plays Sandra.
Yes.
She's a secondary character,
Yeah.
but she plays a big part, a big inspiration in the protagonist's life.
Yeah, she does.
It just pretty much like Kelly Rowland said that Janet played in her life, but what she said about that weave and that pleasure principle. You know, where that weave, where she was doing the pleasure principle and that hair was bouncing around and it wasn't, you know, the wig didn't fall off, right? Because it wasn't a wig, it was something new. Right? And this is what this movie really, you know, really examines, is that era and that period, right? But it's something that is catastrophic that happens that you just have to see this film, right? You just have to see this film. Now, moving on from that interview, you can see that on YouTube. Let me tell you that we constantly talk about good hair, bad hair. It comes back into the lexicon. It stays with us constantly, and it's something that we have to get off of that wheel and get into get out the mindset and get into a mind state where it doesn't matter. Right? Now, a perfect example of how it keeps coming up. Back in February 1988, a classic movie was released called School Days. And there is a musical number, called The Wannabes and the Jigaboos Wanna Be Like Me, right? And it talks about good and bad hair. It talks about the weave. And then later in 2009, Chris Rock delivered in October of 2009, Good Hair, which was a documentary, right? So, you know, so this is like the opening sequence to what's going on. If you haven't seen School Days, you have to see School Days. And if you haven't seen Good Hair by Chris Rock, you have to see it. So ever so often, so 21 years to 11 years, right? 11 years now. The last time it was 21 years between 11 years between, you know, Good Hair to Bad Hair, the movie, right? And so, you know, I cut this piece up, right, showing the in-betweens and the cuts and everything, and talking about Good Hair and how lighter, brighter, better, all that. And if you really want to know what's going on, and how it affects things, I don't know. I think that we got what happened here? Okay, we got kicked off of Facebook for a minute, but it picked back up. So let me go here real quick. I don't know why it kicked out. Kicked out when we were talking about good and bad hair.
Well, because look at what they're doing in the schools, right? They're they're in different cities. They are passing bills to protect. The parents are really proactive, right? And they're making sure that there are bills being passed for their children, and they're not being harassed for wearing their hair in a natural state, right?
That's true.
So, I guess they're kicking us off because I guess for them, in certain areas of society, it's some type of taboo to talk about wanting to wear your hair natural. There's this push to want everybody to conform and look basically what they're comfortable with, right? Do you remember years ago, one of my friends, she did the chop with her hair. She went totally natural and just chopped off all of her hair, right? And as soon as she chopped it off and went natural, I remember you teased her. You were saying, oh, well, if you go natural, chop it off, they're going to, what did you say? They're going to get rid of you or put you in the basement or something. Right. Well, we laughed and joked about it because we thought it was crazy, right?
Right.
She did the chop, went natural. They asked her at work, are you okay?
Yeah.
Asked if she was going through any changes. And what did they do?
They put her pretty much in the basement.
Yeah, they demoted her and they, made her move downstairs.
Yeah.
Underneath the lobby, as we called it, the basement. So, right. I mean, hey, that's why, Facebook is kicking us off because it's, for some crazy reason, it's controversial to want to be natural or to talk about natural hair.
Yeah. I mean, that's really
crazy.
Weird. It's really weird that they would kick us off talking about it, but it's okay because we're still on because my system just recalibrates and we come back around, right? So part 2 is coming. We're sharing it right now to the people. Now, so that was the clip that I cut up of that to talk over it, right? And such a disappointment when they do things like that and they kick us off because we're on a crescendo and we're making a point, right? And we're bringing information and disseminating information. So anyway, back to, what's that say, network connection era. They keep telling me on the Facebook it's a network connection era. Right? Error, lost internet connection, attempting to reconnect. All right. So look, people. They kicked me again. Okay, listen. So what's interesting about the film is that you find out that people who are victim of a certain taboo bad hair find a way to, if they are owners, they find a way to own that has victimized them and use it for their own sinister purpose, right? That's what you find when you're dealing with people. They find a way to make their sinister thing. What's going on with Tanya M. Congress? She said, hey y'all, hopefully this is still going here. Yeah, I'm looking down. Alright, so look. Bad hair. Let's break down the breakdown on it. Alright. Cinematography. It's a 10. Yeah. The angles that Justin uses are not pedestrian. That's what I'm saying. They are high quality, almost Hitchcockian with his own flavor. Yes. They are not pedestrian. That's a 10, right? Yep. Storyline, through line is a 10. Imagery and slave lore. Yeah. Telling the story.
That was beautifully done.
That was a story beat.
Yeah.
That's a 10.
Beautifully done.
The character arc of Anna is amazing. Yeah. Because she had to stretch from, as an actor, she had to stretch from a shy person to a uninhibited person when, I'll just say, possessed.
Right.
Acting skill and emoting.
Right.
The close-ups, the way that she was able. Blair Underwood is in it, right?
Yeah,
Blair
job.
Underwood makes, the white woman's catnip, right?
He plays her uncle.
Right?
Right.
He plays, there's a scene where he notices something.
Oh, yeah.
And his face is just so subtle.
Right.
It's subtle, but you catch it that he caught it.
Yeah.
And he's finding a way to get out the way, right?
Right.
Wardrobe and set, that's a 10.
Right.
Sound mixing, that's a 10, right? Locations.
Right.
The locations that they use to bring about the late 80s feel, that's a 10. Story beats. We already talked. Full of story beats. They go from the slave lore to her as a child to her in the late coming of age in the late 80s, right? That's a 10. Believability. This is extremely believable, and it has you on the edge of your seats when it comes to its crescendo and it's getting there, and it's a funny scene in this door, behind this door. I'm gonna say that, and then it's just hilarious, right? But it's serious at the same time.
It is, because we just talked about, when you mentioned believability, right? It's believable because we just discussed a friend of ours who actually experienced this in the workplace.
Right.
Right? And so the main character, Anna, is experiencing this in the workplace.
Right.
So it is truly believable.
Historical facts. That's a 10.
Yeah.
There is such a tree, and we're not going to say the name of the tree
because we want you to
that
watch
they reference,
the film.
but there is such a tree.
Yes.
Right? And so that's a 10, right? Bad hair. What would you rate bad hair as?
A 10.
Yeah.
I would definitely give it a 10 because it's well written, it's entertaining, it immediately moves once it begins. There isn't a dull moment in the film at all. And I love how he, the folklore. I love how he placed the folklore in the story.
Right.
Completely believable. I love how he tied in this particular tree because we looked that up. That is completely believable.
Right.
The acting was great. It was, the all-star cast was great, right? He did a really great job. And because, again, we reviewed Dear White People, right? And he did such a good job on that show. We're waiting for the next episode of Dear White People, the next season to start. I wasn't surprised that Bad Hair was going to be good because like we said, Dear White People, the writing, that's a great show. And we knew that Bad Hair had to be good because, again, he talked about this like years ago. So it was definitely worth the wait.
Definitely worth the wait. So Bad Hair is a 10. And to get context, watch School Days.
Yeah.
Get it uncut.
Yeah,
right?
Spike Lee School Days.
School Days, right? 40 Acres and a Mule, a Spike Lee joint.
Right.
Then get Chris Rock's Good Hair documentary.
Right.
Came out in 2009. Watch that.
Right.
And then watch this. And then that'll give you context to what's happening.
Right.
A film that was in the 80s, one that's in the 2000s, and now this one is in the 2020s, right?
Right.
Our next review of the night is The Shy. And when I tell you, we don't know why it took so long for us to actually binge watch and review the 2019-2020 season of The Shy.
You know, I do know why. because we reviewed the previous season, which was a good season. But I think it took us a while to get to it because we were processing and getting the information through, because this was the COVID period. So we had with the death of Kobe, the death of loved ones, we were dealing with COVID and disseminating that information. We had guests on the show to talk about COVID, right? And then we also dealing with politics, right? So yeah, so it was a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So, but let me tell you, this season, I often reference it on hashtag observations,
right?
TFR, that something is twisting up,
right,
as bad as the last great season of The Chi. The twists and turns in this, and this young lady right here,
right,
who plays Keisha, we're gonna be dropping the
deserves
cast
an
out.
Emmy.
She does because she was a reoccurring character as Keisha, the sister, of the main protagonist.
Right.
But she really brings her A game to this character, and really her emoting and everything. So Jacob Lattimore is Emmett, right? Ronnie is played by Mtari Guma Mbato Mwine, right? Ntore Goma Mbatu Mwine. I hope I'm Mwiney, I think that's what it is, right? Plays Ronnie. Ronnie really arcs. This is Ronnie right here. He really arcs in this season.
Yeah,
he takes it home, right?
Yeah, he does.
There's a lot of loss in this season. I want to tell you, you have to brace yourself. If you watched the first two and then you missed the third season like we did because of this COVID situation, brace yourself because you will be shocked at there's a lot of loss. Keisha, right?
Right.
Burgundy. I can't read my own writing.
Let's see, I'm looking on here.
Burgundy Baker. I can't even say it. It looks like I'm saying biker.
Okay.
It's Baker, right? This is Burgundy Baker, right? She plays Keisha. When I tell you the season starts out one way, and you think that the season is going to be about a marriage and the family dynamic in this marriage.
Right.
But all of a sudden it just twists, and it goes in a whole nother direction. It goes left, and the whole ensemble cast is involved in this left turn, right? Camille Holloway is Lena, is played by Lena Waithe,
right? Who was the creator of the show?
That's right. Okay, I'm looking here. Little Rail is Zeke.
Okay.
I can't read Remnick. Yeah, I can't read my own writing. Little Rail plays Zeke Remnick. So it's a lot of guest people that come in today. Trig is played by Luke James. Luke James is bringing a great performance in this. He comes from off of being on, what's the show?
Oh my gosh. We reviewed it too. Lee Daniels show,
Star. Right. He comes from off a Star and jumps on this, and I'm telling you, Luke James is bringing it. His ability to emote and bring that subtleness to this street dude, trying to go the right way and trying to bring his brother along the right way. It's beautifully done.
And Jasmine Davis, she does a great job too, playing Luke James' girlfriend.
Right.
She plays Imani, right?
Right. Dre is played by Hyman. My writing is atrocious. Miriam A. Hyman plays Dre. Right?
Yep.
Rosalind is portrayed by Candy Burris.
Yeah.
Candy Burris brings her A game in this.
She does.
I mean,
She's believable.
They have a lot of cameos in this, right? Yeah. Who else? Dom is played by Lala Anthony. Lala Anthony has a great PR and agent because she came right off of the #1 show.
Yeah, Power.
And jumps right into another great show in The Chi, and she plays Dom, right?
Yeah.
Shaman Brown Jr. plays Papa.
Yeah.
Stanley Jackson, and Michael Epps plays Jake Taylor. I wonder if Michael Epps is related to
Mike Epps.
No, not Mike Epps.
Omar Epps.
Omar Epps, right? I wonder if they're related, right? Yeah. Jake Taylor. This season is just twisting and turning, and it should have received all kinds of nominations and all kinds of awards. It has an ensemble cast. You meet new people. You lose some of the stalwarts in the show. I mean, it's just a great season. The Chi season 3. Our synopsis: where redemption is hard to achieve, but that doesn't stop Ronnie, who, like Emmett, his friends, and Kevin, search for a missing person who must find the strength and will to survive. That's what this season 3 is about, right? And it's multiple stories jumping at the same time at you. This is a great show. This is a great show to binge watch. Get your popcorn, get your people around the television set. Social distance unless you're in herd immunity like a lot of people are. And just gang around and say, we are all cured of COVID, and we're going to watch this and we're going to have a good time. What you got to say about it?
This was a great season. Like you said, just so many twists and turns. I don't want to give anything away, but she did capture not only what's going on in Chicago, but what's going on across the country. Young black girls, right, being kidnapped, and basically, meanwhile,
we didn't want to give them that.
Well,
that was the twist.
Well, no, it's more to it than that because they don't know who. They don't know who because it's a big cast, so they don't know who and they don't know when, right?
Right.
So, and I love how this community comes together. Kind of like a couple of months ago. I forget what city. Was it in Atlanta or was it in the Midwest? When a couple of young black girls were being kidnapped, but some of the guys and women from the community blew down. They busted in the house and they saved these children. Do you remember that story? So they took it in their own hands and they saved the lives of these young children. So because most of the time they don't really push stories on the news when there are when black little boys and girls are being
there's no Amber Alert. There's no Amber Alert.
There's no big to-do-ha. And so I like when I see like the communities, they pick up the mantle and just move forward, and it actually happened. So when I saw the episode when I saw it on The Chi, and art imitates life.
Yeah, art's imitating life. Let me tell you something. The acting in this season, we're playing the trailer now. The acting in this season, I mean, it really elevates to the next level. And it seems like it's, like I said, it's going one way. You can see it in the trailer, but then it switches around and it goes a total other direction, and it twists up love and loss and redemption. I mean, it's just a great piece of cinematography, a great work of episodic television, of cinema, right? If it was in the theater, it would be just fantastic, right? So cinematography, let's break this down. Let's break it down. Cinematography, okay, wait a minute, let me see something. Tanya M. Conger said he thinks that they are cousins, I think, the Epps, right? And she says, laughing out loud on the writing. That's right, I'm going to start typing this up, because when I'm writing, I'm doing chicken scratch, and the more you type, the less your penmanship is, and it's just like, wow. But anyway, I looked it up. They are first cousins. She looked it up. They are first cousins.
Okay.
The Epps.
Okay.
All right. So let's go through, let's break this down. Cinematography is a 10. Storyline, through line is a 10. The character arc, what they did this season with the characters, right?
Yeah.
They are arcing, and they're developing, and they're getting older, and they're, especially the three, there's the main protagonist, but then there's his two friends, and they're all getting older, and they're developing and having their own personality quirks.
Yeah.
They still stick out, they all stick together, even though
no matter what.
Sometimes they
argue just like friends.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Just like family,
Acting skill, the emoting. I'm telling you, this young lady right here, Burgundy, she really steps up on her A game on this. Wardrobe, cars, set, 10. The locations that they use make Chicago definitely a character in the story, for sure. That's a 10. Story beats. I mean, connecting from friendships to friends, loss to love. Everything is connected together. That's a 10, right? Believability is a 10. It's based on what you can actually see and experience in any hood, but it's based in Chicago.
Right.
Historical facts. Showing the historical facts of Chicago, that's a 10. What would you rate The Chi?
I would definitely rate it a 10. Because like we were talking about earlier, in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, this was June 28th, 2020. The neighborhood, there were missing children, 2 missing teenage girls, right? So the neighbors, they took it upon themselves to bust down and on a house that they felt something funny was going on, and it was just strange. And then they had missing children, and the neighbors decided, hey, something is going on in that house. They busted in the house and they found the 2 girls. And so this is where the community actually came together and saved the lives of 2 children. So when we saw this episode, and then I thought about the story, and that's what I love about it. It takes a community.
It takes a
community.
And it showed that everyone wasn't too concerned.
Right.
So you say you give it a 10.
I definitely give it a 10 because I love like the acting. The previous episodes, the young lady who basically starred as the star this season, Burgundy, she did really good. I always thought she was a good actress.
But now,
but this season, like you said, she just emoted. Is the term you use?
Yeah. She emoted. That's on the close-ups. But her ability, her physicality in it.
And the relationship between her and her brother. They really dug into it more. I mean, because you knew that
it was complex.
Close.
It turned more
complex. And then the relationship with her and her mother and her stepmother. And just again, we don't want to give anything away, but the community, how the community came together. They did like a really good job. It was believable.
So watch it. You will enjoy it. The Chi 3rd season, I give it a 10. Now,
I give it a 10 also.
The next series that we're going to review is called The Crown, right? It is now on its 4th season, right? And it talks to Queen Elizabeth, right? Queen Elizabeth is played by quite a few people. Clara Furry, Olivia Calhoun, I guess that's the name. My writing is atrocious.
Well, the first 2 seasons, right? The first 2 seasons of The Crown is starring Claire Foy as Queen Elizabeth in her younger years, right? And then so season 3 opens up with, see if I can get the cast name.
Olivia Colman?
Yes, her, Olivia Colman. She opens up season 3 as the middle-aged Queen Elizabeth.
Then the 3rd season is Amanda Stanton. My writing, I'm writing too fast.
Here, okay, so we have it right here.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first so it's starring Clara Foy. Olivia Colman opens up season 3 as the middle-aged Queen Elizabeth II, right? Amanda Stanton plays. She had to have been the younger.
No, she's coming in. She's a little older.
Yeah,
I mean, she's a little older, and then Miriam Bailey is going to play the 4th season. She's playing the older queen, I believe.
And then season 4 is the introduction to Princess Diana.
That's right, Princess Diana.
Right.
John Lithgow as Winston Churchill.
He does a great job.
I mean, he plays that part. He is her mentor.
Yes.
You know, he really takes Queen Elizabeth II under his wing.
Yes.
And teaches her what she needs to know, right?
Yes.
Emma Kerwin is Princess Diana in season 4, right? Tobias, I can't read it. Menzelis is Philip the Duke. Matt Smith also plays Philip the Duke, right? Philip is Prince Philip. He marries Elizabeth II, right? But he's a duke, right? The story, so let's go through the synopsis because it's an ensemble cast, but we want to go through. So there's so many people in this. This is on the 4th season, right?
Yeah.
You have to watch this show. Why do you have to watch this show? Because you get to see what Europeans, how they think.
Right.
What they think, how they think, why they think, when they think.
Right. You learn about the colonization of the different countries in Africa.
And the decolonization. Right? Because in season 4, in season 3 is the decolonization of Kenya.
Okay.
Right? And Prince Charles comes of age.
Okay.
Right? So I mean it's interesting. It's interesting to watch and learn and see. And Queen Elizabeth II has reigned for a very long time.
Very long time. And then in watching this, you also learn more about the monarchy as far as sacrifices that have to be made for the crown.
That's right, because it says, at the very beginning, one of her mentors tells her that no matter what, the crown must win. It's nothing personal that the decisions that you make. It's all about the crown must win. And maybe American black people should pick that up and say that they should be out to recover the crown. You should go look up Queen Sophia and look at Queen Sophia very closely, and you would see why just our opinion, Queen Elizabeth II would be looking at old girl who married her grandson, right, Miss Markle, and looking at her and saying, certain people fought to make sure the crown would no longer be in black hands, and this, if something happened to all of us except for those two, it would fall back into black hands. Just observation, like Monday through Fridays, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday on all of the places that we stream, right? So let's go through the synopsis. The story of the rise of Queen Elizabeth II to monarch to now, the happenings, the players, the mentors, Churchill, the behind the scenes reenactments of what has actually happened in real life, the life of Elizabeth II, Queen of England, right? So what would you give The Crown?
I would
so far, because we're on third season.
Right.
The fourth season begins. Matter of fact, this is the trailer. I cut all of the trailers together, 1 through 4. This is where Princess Diana is introduced, and you really understand from the very beginning in the opening when the mentor told her that the crown must win. It's nothing personal on what you do. The crown must win.
Well, you know what
do you think about?
What I think about it is great acting, first of all. And when I learned that Claire Foy she's the one playing Queen Elizabeth II, I said, okay, this is going to be good. Because we reviewed Claire Foy. I'm going to be getting tongue-tied. Claire Foy. She stars in The Girl in the Spider's Web, 2018 film, and we reviewed it, and we talked about her acting, right? So when I learned that she's playing Queen Elizabeth the first 2 seasons, I said, okay, it has got to be good because she's a good actress, right? And she definitely did not disappoint. And watching this film, and it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. And so watching it, you learn more and more about their family. Yeah, about their family and how important the crown is, not only to the country, but to the family as well, and the sacrifices that had to be made. So then fast forward today with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. You can kind of see where the Queen's mind state is, because she had to sacrifice for the crown. Her sister had to, once you see it, you'll understand what I'm saying, but her sister had to sacrifice. The Queen's husband had to sacrifice. It's just like family members had to sacrifice personal relationships and personal things that they wanted to do, certain hobbies or just certain things. The crown just came first, right?
Comes first. It must win.
Right. So then, you have to not be involved in other countries' politics, right? So that falls under the crown. But then here comes an American, right? Meghan Markle and the family. And she has her own thought process, and she's an independent woman, right? And she wants to use her voice because it's part of her culture as an American woman, right? To be very outspoken. So that's where I believe the cultural clash may be.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you said, and like they always say, the crown comes first.
Crown must win.
It must win. So
that's right.
Just learning that and just watching the film, it helped me to
So Meghan Markle said, let me get out of here, because
yeah.
The crown must win. And
right. So that's why I'm looking forward to season 4. Right, to see what Queen Diana went through, because Queen Diana, like
Princess.
Princess.
She never made
yeah, that's
queen.
true. She never made it. Princess Diana, she was also a free spirit, free thinking woman, much like Meghan Markle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone who was considered an outsider.
She got involved with Fayed.
Right, so we learned all of this in season 4. So I think season 4 is going to be very
November 15th it debuts on Netflix. Let's go through the breakdown. Character arc. I had to start with that first. Character arc is a 10. Going from inexperienced young girl,
right,
who was her father, I would say her father's favorite, assuming the throne, that's a 10. Ascending to the throne, that's a 10.
Right.
Storyline, through line is a 10. Acting, skill, emoting, that's a 10.
Right.
Wardrobe, cars, sets, going through all of these various different decades, that's a 10. Locations, that's a 10.
Right.
Story beats, that's a 10. Believability to every single last detail, 10. Historical facts, that's a 10. And I ended with cinematography, because the cinematography on this, the use of light, the use of colors, the use of camera movement, the use of camera angles to tell the story is a 10.
Yes.
So what would you give The Crown?
I would give it a 10 also, and I also want to add to that list music.
Okay.
Because, you know,
it catches the various decades.
It does. They do a great job doing that. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, The Crown is well worth watching, right? And you will learn something, right? You need to know, to not know what people do and how they think is a recipe for disaster if you plan to one day take something over. It's a recipe for disaster not to know how to go about doing it. It's just plain and simple. All right.
You know what? Before we move on, a very interesting episode is the episode. Look out for the episode featuring President John F. Kennedy and his wife, Jackie Kennedy.
Or just say Jackie Onassis.
Well, at the time she wasn't an Onassis at the time. So their visit to the Queen.
To the Queen.
To the Queens.
That's right. Because Camelot meets the actual Queen.
Right. So that was very interesting. Them joining the Queen at Buckingham Palace. That was an interesting episode.
So The Crown, I give it a 10.
Yes.
All right, people. You know that it's Halloween, and you know we've been breaking down films that are good for American blacks in the black diaspora to watch during this Halloween season, and we are coming around. We are winding down. This is the home stretch episode. You need to go back to the previous episodes and watch, because we broke down our top 10 from last year, the top 10 blaxploitation of all time, and then we went through a list of 4 week for week, but now we're on the 4th week, right? And when we come back again, it'll be November 1st. So Halloween and the whole of October will have been over, and we'll be heading into something new, right? So horror good for American blacks in the black diaspora to watch during the Halloween season, right? So these are the next films. Scream 2, 1997. The character in the film is Joel. It's acted by, the actor is Dwayne Martin. If you haven't seen Scream 2, you have to see it. The next film is Scary Movie 4, 2006. Character is quote unquote Shaq. Actor is Shaquille O'Neal. Stage Fright, 1987. The character is Willie. Actor is James Sampson. You have to see these films, right? Number 4. This is one I threw in. It has no black actors in it at all, but it's the original Stage Fright. It's Alfred Hitchcock's Stage Fright, 1950. But again, this is a film where you watch how people think.
Right.
You see how they do, and if they do that to each other, what will they do to you, right? So, no black actors in the cast.
Okay.
Watch the original. Stars Jane Wyman, Marlena Dietrich, and Richard Todd. That's Stage Fright. So watch the remake in 87, from 87, and then go back and watch the King of Suspense, Alfred Hitchcock. Number 5, Event Horizon, 1997, right? Character is Captain Miller. Actor is Lawrence Fishburne. Another character is Cooper. Actor Richard T. Jones. The next film, John Carpenter's The Thing, 1982. That is a personal favorite of mine. My sister and I went to the movies to see that in 82, right? That is a personal favorite of mine. That's when I really... Because The Thing, the original, the black and white, starring James Arness as The Thing, seeing the difference between it, because they used to come on Superhost. There used to be a guy who had an alter ego named Superhost, and he would have the Saturday morning matinee theater, and The Thing would come on there, or we had The Ghoul.
Right.
And The Ghoul would play The Thing.
And Big Chuck and Little John.
Big Chuck and Little John would play The Thing. Right? And the whole premise behind it. So seeing this one was totally different because the special effects was totally different. The original was a fright fest with him just standing there. But this was totally different. It was using the special effects, and I mean, it was incredible, right? Character is Childs, right? Actor Keith David. Keith David, this is his first big screen role. You know, Keith David plays the father on Greenleaf now.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But in The Thing, he played Childs, and he and Kurt Russell are the last two left, right? And so see that one. That's a good film. Nightmare on Elm Street, 1989.
Oh my gosh, horrifying.
Nightmare on Elm Street, number 5. Character Yvonne Miller. Actor Kelly Jominter, right? Matter of fact, you see her in the Horror Noir.
Oh, okay.
Right? They interview her in there. And number 8, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, 1990. Character Benny. Actor Ken Foray. So you see, we've had our presence in horror films.
Growing up, who do you think, whose film frightened you the most? Like, which character was most horrifying to you as a child?
Horrifying. You know what? It wasn't a horror movie.
Okay.
It was a episode of Real People.
Oh, okay.
You know, it was an episode of Real People, and they were talking about this woman that was wrongfully lynched.
Okay.
She was a white woman, but I'm saying lynched, but she was hung.
Right.
She was hung mostly for being a witch, I think.
Okay.
And what happened was they kept doing the close-up on her eyes and her face.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed, because they had the actual pictures of the hanging, and they had her legs bound together with rope, and you could see the button-up lace, the button-up boots, right? And she was hanging with a thing over her arms were tied behind her back, and they kept showing the photo of her face, a photo that she had taken, and I mean that stayed with me, and I could not sleep. So it wasn't really a horror film. It was an episode where they kept, and they had that eerie music going through there, and then they said that President Carter pardoned her because she was wrongfully hung.
Okay.
And they said that her ghost haunted this house. And so that real life things catch me.
Okay, well, you know what, for me, growing up, it was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really?
And that was because what, Friday the 13th, right? And Halloween, those villains, you could fight off and get away from. But Freddy Krueger, you had to go to sleep. So it's like no one could avoid Freddy Krueger. That was terrifying because even in the film, they would try to stay awake and not go to sleep, but you would eventually fall asleep. So I think Freddy Krueger was the most horrifying character for me as a child growing up, because I'm like, you can't get away from him. Like, because you can't even run and hide like you could with Jason or Michael Myers. You can at least try to fight them off and run and hide, but with Freddy, you couldn't hide anywhere.
You couldn't hide.
You couldn't hide anywhere.
Yeah. They were good, but you know what I liked about the English dude, right? Robert English.
Okay, who played Freddy Krueger?
That's right.
Okay.
He brought a certain swagger. That's before the word even existed.
Yeah.
The way they use it today.
Right.
He brought a certain swagger to Freddy Krueger that he was comical with what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know, you would laugh and you would be hilarious. But it was episode 2, and I think, the second installment of it, and I think that Kevin Bacon was in it, because I know Kevin Bacon was in Friday the 13th, but I thought that he was in this one too. I could be wrong. Could have been, but it's when he melted. He had some vinyl sitting on the, so it was kind of hanging off the edge. And when Freddy Krueger came in the dream, he heated the room up and it melted the vinyl.
Okay.
And that's when I said, "Oh no," because I was a DJ. I said, "Oh no." We would we would have some problems. You know what I mean?
You know what made me feel better is episodes later. The one episode of Freddy Krueger where you learned where all of this came from. So as a kid, when I learned that he was only going after the people whose parents, had tortured him, I was like, okay, well, we didn't do anything to him, so I should be okay. As a kid, I had to logically think that out.
But then they did the remake.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, I think it was, and I don't know who that was, but
is it the one with the Freddy Krueger versus Jason?
No, that was good.
That one was good. Kelly Rowland was in that one. She did a good job.
No, they did the remake with a whole new actor,
and it wasn't.
And they tried to make it.
Okay.
They tried to make it. We went to the theater and said, "Oh, that was."
Yeah, because he didn't have any swag, and it wasn't Robert English.
Right?
He wasn't playing Freddy Krueger.
Right. It was It was a shorter guy, and he wasn't comical. He was more brutal, but the murders weren't really as. It was more like a psychological thriller than it was a horror film, and I think that's where they made their mistake. But that was trash.
Well,
so anyway.
But you know what? Today, if we fast forwarded today, Topsy and Bopsy, horrifying.
Horrifying.
Who's it, Topsy and Bopsy?
Topsy and Bopsy, absolutely, right? So now, people, rounding out the review for this 136th episode of the film review. review, hashtag Tfrpodcastlive, is one about a lone ranger, Bass Reeves. Did you know that the Lone Ranger was actually based on a black man named Bass Reeves? All right, that's right, the Lone Ranger. So that's why they wore he wore a black mask to represent being a black man. He was a lone ranger, right? So Hell on the Border, 2019. It plays on Hulu. Is based on the Bass Reeves story. It's actually, I'm gonna have to say, it's a Bass Reeves story. It's a interpretation of Bass Reeves, right? So let me see if I can get this African name right. David Giassi.
Is that who plays?
Giassi plays Bass Reeves. David Giassi plays Bass Reeves. Vernon Davis is Columbus. Jerica Ricard is Augusta. It's an ensemble cast. I picked out the black characters, in it. You can go read the rest on IMDb if you want, right?
Okay.
So we're going to do some spoilers in this tonight, because this right here, this is not really, what I'm getting ready to read right now is not really a synopsis of the film. It's more of a review of the film, right? So let me see if I can read my chicken scratch real quick. A film which purports to tell the story of the actual Lone Ranger Bass Reeves. It takes too long, but it takes too long to get to the initiating event.
Too long.
We open with Reeves walking as the White Ranger is riding a horse. There is a gunfight sequence, which at best is amateurish in concept, execution, and edit. It is not believable. It is not believable. I will say it again. It is not believable, but it's supposed to show the skill of Bass Reeves. But certain things about gunfighting or guns in particular, this is the trailer playing now. That those certain things wouldn't happen, right? Leaves you asking, can someone else take another crack at the story? This is nothing like The Watchmen. See, if I hadn't saw The Watchmen, right? The Watchmen opens with a representation of Bass Reeves in his full negritude. That's right. Negritude is a word. It doesn't have to do with knee. But it's negritude. He's in his full negritude, his full awareness of who he is, his self, and who he is to the people who he rangers for. This is not that. This is a Caucasian. I don't know who wrote it, but they wrote it like someone who was writing to be in, if they are American black or if they're black, they were writing to be in meritorious manumission. If they are Caucasian, they were writing a Caucasian's fantasy about how Bass Reeves was downtrodden in the beginning. And this film, seeing Bass Reeves walking, he's not even he's like a sidekick. He's like Tonto, except for at least Tonto had a horse.
Right.
Bass Reeves in this doesn't have a horse. He's
in the opening.
In the opening, he's like walking alongside the ranger. He's not even a ranger. The ranger just uses him because he has certain abilities. He's like the magical Negro. That's a trope. That's a type of person. He's a magical Negro. He can do certain things that, you know, you wouldn't, that superhuman stuff that people wouldn't expect. That's what makes it partially trash. Now, I'm spoiled because I saw Bass Reeves in his full representation, and the people in the story are descendants of Bass Reeves within the mind of the child. And you have to watch The Watchmen to see that, right?
HBO.
That's right. And so seeing him there, this is a poor representation. If you were going to show Bass Reeves in downtrodden state, you would have to present Bass Reeves as his full imagined, full human being, and let that be in flashback, right? So automatically, this film does not work for that reason. And if it was an American black playing the role, they would say, can we do some rewriting on this? Because some of this doesn't make sense. Some of the fight sequences, they don't make sense, and it's not real. Because I grew up watching The Outlaw Josie Wales before I found out that it was written by a Confederate Indian. A Confederate Indian. But my favorite part, before I even knew anything about the North and the South and slavery, because our parents didn't talk about it, they afforded us a certain lifestyle, they didn't tell us about it. But once I transcended from junior high school into high school, into Polish high school, I got on my ride, right? Because I had been in a cocoon with my own black people. The problems that we had were black concern, but when you get to the Caucasians, it's a totally different thing, and it's a life and death matter. Right? So, you know, seeing this, right? You have to see the person in full scope. So, watching The Watchmen, he's in full who he is. This is not. So an American black person would have said, let me have a rewrite because this doesn't make sense. This guy, he's just happy that he's acting, right? And acting to me isn't that
like he's detached.
Great, right? You know, so I mean, wait. So I mean, what did you think about it? Well, because we cut it off. To be honest, we cut it off. It just was unwatchable. When you see Bass Reeves in The Watchmen, if The Watchmen hadn't have come out, then maybe you would have sat through, okay, you understand it. But this was like a woe is me tale, and then this man is so bashful. We're gonna watch it afterwards to see if he ever arcs and how long it takes to arc. But the way it was set up, the initiating event didn't happen in the first 5 minutes, and then his dramatic need didn't happen within the 10 to 15 minutes of the film, and whoever shot it didn't know about the structure of filmmaking. If this was going to be a hero's journey, there's a whole layout on how to go about telling that story, and this took too long. You see, you got the dudes running around the pole, right? And they make it say, and this came out through Lionsgate, how he became a legend, right? All right, so let's break this down real quick, right? Not believable at all. Cinematography is a 7. It's very pedestrian, right?
7.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm getting because the fact that they did have to come back with the light. Like when you watch it, you see the sun. They're using natural light to shoot it, and they're using they're not even using reflectors. They're using natural light, and at night they're using 500 watt to 1,000 watt lamps, right? 250 lumen. I can look at it and tell, right? So, cinematography with the lighting and everything, and the movement of the camera, I give it a 7. Storyline through line is a 2. It's too slow. Character arc, he hadn't got there yet by the time we stopped it. That was a 2. Acting, emoting skill. For what the actors have, because they have some named actors in this, for what they had to deal with, I give them a 7, right? Wardrobe, it was Western, but it looks, the way it looks as if they found something from the Army Navy store to try to look like it was Western. I give that a 2. The locations, I have to give them credit for being creative on locations.
Yeah,
they used some of those cabins. You know those cabins in Ohio where they used to take us on the tour and they would show you the old homesteads and the cabins are still standing. They use some of those what they call reserved lands,
like some of the ones we saw here
in the park, right?
Yeah.
They use some of those to represent like outposts. So I have to give it, and you can see it in the film, so that they're preserved, right? So I give that a 10. Story beats, 0. Believability is a 0. Historical facts, 0. Hell on the board. What would you give Hell on the board?
First of all, it just took forever. I don't know if it was the first 45 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever for me. It just dragged. It didn't pick up, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't happy with the film at all.
So what would you give it?
So, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, and I would have to be awfully bored to try to watch it again. So, I would hate to say a 0, but let's go with a 3.
A 3. You said a 3. Hey, I did mean average from off of the score I came up with, and Hell on the Border gets a 3.33333333. So it's a 3.33. A little dash above the 3 to say that it's 3 3s, but you cut it off, so it's 3.33. That's what I gave it. So you gave it a 3. I gave it a 3.33. Through mean average, right? So this is a interesting piece of, in our opinion, waste of celluloid, as we say. It's no longer celluloid, but you know how we do it. All right. That's right. So we want to let you know, right? Let me pause that for a minute so you don't hear that anymore. Listen, people. You see that? You see this right here? You see this right here? This is on all of our ads for the film review and observations. It's our code, so you can go straight to the Cash App, right? You go straight to the Cash App. Just put your phone up there, and it'll go, and it'll take you straight to the $ Tfrpodcastlive.
Okay.
Drop a few dollars on what we are doing so we can continue to bring you great programming, because we definitely make sure that we produce programming that show you that we appreciate you watching us every Sunday and Monday through Friday. And we have new programming debuting soon on Saturday. I am a hard-working guy, right? So now, people, as we close out this episode, right? As we always do around this time, we have to say there are 4 shows that you should definitely binge watch, especially since now they're able to be binge watched, right? And then the last is coming up to be able to be binge watched pretty soon. But as I put this up, let me put that there and bring that down. So there are 4 shows that kind of, like we said last week, tie in history, his story and our story together. There's Lovecraft Country. It just finished.
Yeah.
And it is a no holds bar situation at the end, right? And I'm wondering if it's going to go the way of a Stars show called American Gods. Once a new showrunner comes in or a new executive producer comes in who happens to be Caucasian and may not want it to be as raw as it is. But watch Lovecraft Country, very good. Watchmen, the one that set the pace on all of this, right? Watchmen, you have to watch it. Regina King.
Yeah.
That's right. You have to watch that. It is a great episodic.
Yeah,
it talks about Tulsa. Matter of fact, Lovecraft Country talks about Tulsa, right? Then we have Fargo, which we're going to watch right after we get off of here.
Starring
The
Chris
next
Rock.
episode. That's right, Chris Rock. You know, this is it's good and it's telling the story, but it's kind of shaping up right now, kind of like Godfather Harlem,
it's
Godfather Harlem, wait a minute, but Godfather Harlem, like just when you think that the character is going to get over, something happens and he's always losing, and it's being masked like it's a show. So, and then we got to deal with Malcolm X's assassination this second season. Because Malcolm left the nation. But it's another show that once it comes up, we will be putting that up too as another show that builds history, that tells story about history. But Fargo 4, starring Chris Rock, based out of Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
A main character has... Well, you'll see. You have to watch it, right? And then, of course, the Good Lord Bird, right? And you have to watch these shows because they are giving you the history and context of what was going on with American black people during those particular periods in time, right? So, look, we're only going to tell you the facts about what is so you can save pocket revenue. We're going to give you the reviews to help you save pocket revenue so you don't have to waste time watching certain things and you can wait for them to come to bargain bin. You know what I mean? But these 4 across the top are some quality television right now. Right? And of course, the films and the series that we reviewed tonight are quality. The horror that is good for American blacks and the black diaspora to watch. Go back to the previous 3 episodes and get the list. And when you have your Halloween party, have those films going in the background. Or if you want to have a binge watch of Halloween films, and you want to start like on Monday and go all the way through, you have nothing to do until our next show on Sunday. Do that and watch these films and you will be entertained because they are not a shock to your soul. And we have a person that wants to come in at 5 minutes left, so we will take them on. They want to talk. 612, you're on. Who's on the line?
Yes, sir. Good evening, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
What's going on? Who are we speaking with?
Yeah, my name is David. I'm calling out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, what's going on, David, Philadelphia? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was going to talk a little about the election that's coming up here in about a week.
Oh, man, we're not really talking about the election. Want to know why? Want to know why?
Why is that?
Why is that? Because we moved on from the election because we've said everything that has needed to be said about the election. You know, we're moving on from it. Like the episodes are hashtag observations TFR 1 through 43. We have hit everything and every type of aspect and every type of direction, every type of nook and cranny, every type of thought, showing all sides of the thought. We've done all that. We're moving on. The election is next week, but we're not talking about that anymore. We're moving on to other things. So it's nothing.
I just wanted to know who you thought was going to win.
Nothing. Oh, I don't care because I don't have a dog in that hunt. So
okay.
I don't care.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, thank you. All right, people. You see, because we don't stay on that hamster wheel. We have said everything that we needed to say about that, and we have moved on. We are moving on. We are moving on. We are moving on. Because that is said and done, and that is it. Did you tell them what network Watchmen is on? Watchmen is on HBO. That's right. You saw that.
And you know, at Lovecraft Country, right? Because I know, and I saw in certain writings, some people were confused when watching this show, right? So we compare it to, you know, when you're young and those adventure books that they gave you to read as a child.
And then you say, which way would you go? Turn to page 97?
Right, and the character will have different adventures. It's the same character, right? But they're going through different adventures. So that's what we would compare Lovecraft Country to. Because all of the characters, the main characters, are the same. It's just that each of them, you know, they're having different adventures.
And it's an ensemble cast.
It's an ensemble. Great acting, well written.
If Topsy and Bopsy don't get some recognition,
right?
That episode, that Jigga Bobo, something is wrong, and we want to see at least 5 more seasons hard hitting like that before they decide to say it's too much for black people to see. So, people, this has been another great episode. Another great episode of TFR Podcast Live. That's hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Yes. We appreciate you tuning in, coming in and listening and watching us. We love that you go onto Apple Podcasts and on your favorite podcast provider, and you listen to the shows, right? And make sure that you go to Cash App, $ TFR Podcast Live, and drop a few dollars, because we show you that we appreciate you by bringing quality shows with visual presentation, with quality banging sound, with trailers, with presentations edited down by yours truly, Crazy D. We will see you on Monday, my sister and I, at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Observations. Yeah. But we will see you next Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 Eastern for another episode of hashtag TFR Podcast Live. I love this show.
The Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching The Film Review.